This is the Bible Ranger, and today we're going to be talking about evolution versus creation and episode 85, the beginning. And this is going to be a series, and hopefully, you can ask me questions. And it was so much information, so I did my best trying to condense it, but it's just so much to put together. So hopefully I picked the right series of patterns. So we'll see how it goes. All right, why is it important? Several reasons. In 1 Peter 3:15 in the Bible it says, "Be prepared with an answer, to give an answer." And since evolution is a hindrance to the gospel, we need to know about it and educate those who are not sure. Some Christians are confused, they believe something in the middle, but the main people I'm concerned about are the high school kids from the Christians that are going to college and the professors are changing their mind. Another one, because it answers questions like, who am I and what am I worth, and where do I come from? These are the questions of life. Why am I here? And where am I going when I die? And we'll answer all these questions, hopefully. And the Christian kids, this is an old fact that's in my head, so hopefully this is about right. But Christian kids are losing their faith once they go to college. And I believe it's about 70% of them that go there. That's quite a large number. Now, the evolution spokesman, they shout out that it's science, and but they continue using facts that have been disproven in the textbooks, and I'll talk about that in some future ones. I mean, the textbooks are full of misinformation and deception. Okay, things to know. And these are quotes from Hitler. And one of them says that if you let me control the textbooks, I will control the state. Because he knows when you get the kids young, they will believe whatever they're taught. And our textbooks have lies in them too. Um, Things that have been disproven, and the kids are still learning from that. So obviously, everybody wants to believe that the teacher is going to teach them the right stuff. So they have authority. And they're some of them they don't know what they're doing. They believe is right, and some of them are doing it on purpose, like the college ones mostly. But anyway, this is a quote. Another quote that's famous is the Big Lie quote. And the Big Lie quote says, it sounds a little bit different on this area right here. I'm using my mouse pad, so it's a little bit different. But it says if you make a lie big enough and you make it simple and keep saying it over and over again, and eventually they will believe it. Okay, a person that also gets credit for that is Joseph Goebbels, and he was also a high-ranking person in Nazi um, military, and they interacted with each other anyway. Now we don't want to lose any believers to evolution. I mean, let me explain something, okay? Karl Marx was was believed to that ready to become a preacher himself, and he, by somebody I believe in a college, they convinced him and they took him off track. And obviously, he's one of the fathers of communism. Also, believe it or not, Charles Darwin, at age 22, he was ready to be a preacher, and he got also convinced through certain people that they just took him away from whatever the Lord had in his heart. So losing people to evolution, it's a very sad thing, and these two men are highly influential people. Okay. Or another saying that Hitler said at the bottom here, he says that the German Fuhrer has consistently sought to make the practice of Germany conform to the theory of evolution. And later in a few slides, you'll see why that is. Now, please be patient because there's so much information that I'm trying to give you, and I'm trying to keep it condensed. However, if you want to jump ahead of me, I recommend two studies, two good people that are out there that they do a good job teaching creation versus evolution. And one of them is Ken Ham, and he's very good, and he'll do a good job. Okay, but mainly when I see his stuff, he's talking to a crowd of kids. Okay, now Ken Hovind, he was a former school teacher, and he actually has a series of tapes that are reasonably priced, by the way. It's like 18 hours of information in there, and but you can look at it free on YouTube, and you'll learn a lot. And like I said, it's on YouTube or any other type of YouTube medium. All right, types of evolution. There's cosmic evolution, which is the Big Bang. The chemical evolution, which is that the elements started basically from hydrogen and they became higher elements, which is not true. The stellar and planetary evolution, the origins of stars and planets, which is not true. Nobody's seen that. There's organic evolution, which is the origin of life. Nothing came from something, which makes absolutely no sense. There's macroevolution, which has never been observed and is changing from one kind to another. For example, from a wolf to an elephant. That's macro, like macro is large. Now, microevolution is small changes in the species or in the kind. And that is true. We totally believe that, okay? However, what the creationists do, what the evolutionists do, they use examples of microevolution and they interwoven it with these other 5 above. And it confuses people who don't know what they're listening to, and it makes it sound real. But we definitely believe in microevolution. All right. Now, we can see this, we can observe this in most animals and in humans. I mean, we have humans of different shapes and colors and sizes, but every human can breed with a human, okay? Just like dogs, they have 96 chromosomes, and you have dogs from mastiffs to chihuahuas, and they might not physically be able to do anything, but they can biologically do something, and you can breed them together. And they got so many chromosomes, you can do a lot with them. Now, when they started after Noah's Ark, when they started coming out, and they have so many variations in their genes, you have, let's say long-haired dogs and short-haired dogs. And when he started migrating, if you had a short-haired dog and he went up too high in the climate, he's going to die off. And only the dogs that have long hair would procreate. And the flip side of that, if you have long-haired dogs with short-haired dogs and they go to a desert type environment, the ones with short hair are going to survive better than the long hair. And so you get, because of environment, you get these small changes, but they're still dogs. Okay, macro versus micro. Like I said earlier, in the micro is used to prove, and they interwove it with the other ones, and they confuse the people who don't know what they're doing. Like when Darwin was doing a study in the Galapagos Islands, he was studying the finches, and he was saying the beaks were different. Some beaks were stronger than others, but look at the changes. Look at the changes. We don't have a problem with that. They have a lot of information in the DNA, and so it spits out different things. We actually have twins out there, which in the future I'll try to remember and show a picture. Well, we have twins where we have a mixed couple of a black and a white, and one child came out white and the other child came out black. It's unusual, but it actually happens. And this is from the same 2 human beings. But these finches are still birds. They haven't changed. They still fly. And these dogs, originating from a type of wolf, they're still dogs. So when they went to Noah's Ark, the people think, how many animals were you able to fit in there? All he had to do was to get the main type animal. Like in the dogs, he didn't have to bring a Chihuahua or a Collie or anything like that. All he had to do was bring the type of wolf. And that would with all the genetic information, he would produce other type of dogs like him. And he had to make sure, obviously, they were young and strong. Not very big, because, the bigger they are, the more food they're going to consume. And obviously to be male and female couple. So in evolution, in the theory of evolution, they say, and this number has changed so many times, that the universe is about 20 billion years old, but the Earth is about 4.5 billion years. That's a lot of time. And if you actually think of the word universe, uni means single, like a unicycle, and verse is a spoken word. So, that sounds almost like the gospel, huh? A single spoken word. Pretty interesting. Now, in creation, the Earth, or at least human life, okay, it's about 6,000 years. And some people say up to 10,000 years. I don't really have a big problem with that. Basically what they do, they derive from the chain of names of the birth when so-and-so begot so-and-so, and they add it like that, and they come up with a number. And the number comes out to be about 6,000 years ago, or 4,000 something BC. Sometimes it's a little tricky because when Adam and Eve were created, they were created with a parent age to them. They were already adults, old enough to produce, and the trees were already mature. They were producing fruit, and things were already running at a mature rate. So I can see why some people get a little confused. God made them on the first day functional. The stars were out there already at the distance. The moon was already out there. The stars were, light years away, and it's still expanding. But by doing that, it has a parent age to it. All right, let's continue. All right, beyond logic. If you see a building, a painting, a car, or even a soda can, everyone will conclude that it has a designer. Everybody. Now, if anybody tries to convince you otherwise, you're not going to accept it. I mean, it's very complicated to build a building up here. Even this simple death trap car here, it's got a designer. Okay, this beautiful painting of Thomas Kincaid. It just didn't happen. Okay, even this simple soda. Oh, what are you going to say? It gathered the aluminum together. It made itself in an even sheet metal. It gathered ink. The words formed by itself is bent in a certain way to give the can strength. It has intelligence to it. It has a designer. Now, if you take the secret weapon of evolution, they add the word time. Well, if this soda can was given enough time with the right environment and is able to reproduce itself, that's a lot of ifs and maybes, but this is what they do in evolution. And you say it enough times with enough money being backed up, with enough scientists that depend on grants, if you have to believe the theory. I mean, that's pretty biased just by itself. And the people that don't believe that, there's a lot of documentation out there of Christians that do not believe in evolution that have been forced out or non-granted their money or ostracized until they make it an exclusive group. All right, so going back to evolution, if you give it enough time and enough years, and you make simple changes, you will make something simple complex, which is actually against some of the laws that we actually have. But that's not the worst thing about evolution. It teaches no morals because God has his 10 commandments and other things. In evolution, there's no God, so we are our own gods. And whatever we want to do, we do. And there's no consequences. That's the big problem with evolution. Basically, might is right. And we'll discuss that in a couple of slides from now. All right, the Bible. The world's best-selling book starts in an incredible way. In the first verse of the Bible, it says, in the beginning, God created. Wow, it's telling you that God, basically, he's outside of time, but he made time. The beginning means time, okay? And God created. That's telling you who the designer is. This is half the verse. The other part of the verse says, basically, God created the heaven and the earth. The heavens is what it actually means. And that would be space, okay? There's 3 heavens in the Bible. There's the atmosphere, there's outer space, and then there's the heavens where he lives. The heavens of heavens. So, earth would be matter. So it's telling you that he created space and matter. Now he did it in the right sequence. He created time. So he had to, that way when he creates something, you know when it was created. And then he created space to put the matter in somewhere. You can't have matter without a space. So everything, even in the first verse of the Bible, it lines it up perfect. What a way to start the Bible. At creation time, the world was perfect. There was no death until Adam and Eve sinned. And the way most people see it, they see it like God created them and the week after they sin. But there's a possibility that it could have been about 100 years before that actually happened. And we can talk about that later. So dinosaurs lived with man. And we actually have fossilized proof of this. I'll show you that in a future series. Now, we'll answer several questions, okay? And not here, but maybe in the next one, we'll answer questions like where did Cain get his wife and more of them, okay? That way you'll have some answers with you. Now, let's revisit the dangers of evolution for a minute. All right, might is right. Now, Hitler was very thankful for Darwin's book because it gave him permission for the actions that he was about to do. Now, in 1939, before he actually came to power, or close to it, it says our enemies are little worms. Close your heart to pity, act brutally. It says the stronger man is right. Basically, survival of the fittest. And the one below that one this is after the trouble started. And it goes, I have the right to exterminate an inferior race. Obviously talking about the Jews. That breed like vermins. And there's the oven. Horrible picture. And here, if you can see it, he had a blood mixture from Aryan pure race, godlike type race, which would be the Nordics, where the blonde blue eye would be the closest to the pure Aryans. And then somewhere in the middle were the Selviks. And they're like half Aryan and half ape. Then you have the Orientals here, where it says slightly ape predominant. And then the black Africans here, where it says predominantly ape. But worse than that, he had the Jews. And basically he says the closest thing to pure ape. And this is his words. And if he was given enough time and power, he would have started from the Jews, which he did, eliminate them, get rid of the blacks, and move himself upwards. But, thank God that wasn't, he was a type of Antichrist, but not the Antichrist. All right, now, remember the shooters of, Columbine High School? They were wearing T-shirts, and the T-shirt said, this is one of the shooters, Eric Harris. I forgot the other one, Dalen, I can't remember his name. But the shirt says natural selection. It's very interesting. And natural selection, the other guy was wearing a shirt that said Raft on it. And you know when it was done? It was done on Hitler's birthday. So it wasn't by mistake. It was designed like that. And this is the problem of evolution, because you have no morals here. You do what you want, as long as you're stronger than the other person. Evolution is a product of what man does not want to be accountable to the Lord. If God is real, then we have to do what he says, because there's consequences to what God says. We don't want to do that, so we create things like evolution, of course, and it takes people away from the Lord. Now, God created us, so he knows what's best for us, okay? Now, after the fall of Adam and Eve, he made a plan of salvation, but you have to decide to follow him. You repent of your ways, say, Lord, I've messed up. I know that, and I accept Jesus' salvation into my heart, and I accept the sacrifice of Christ and the resurrection of Christ. And he's made the way. All we got to do is accept him and follow him, and we become part of his family. Now, please answer, ask any questions that you have, in the comments, and any way I can go, any direction I can help you with. But please pass this down, especially to the teenagers. They need to see this, okay? And if you found this video to be helpful, please subscribe, thumbs up, because it will help others to see it, and share with others. I'm doing the work over here. This took me 16 hours, just this today. And, help me to pass the word. And thank you very much. This is the Bible Ranger, keeping the Bible simple, yet rich in content. Thank you.